Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're headed out on the water to chase great big fish, but we're doing it with a twist. We're going ultra finesse. A drop shot, a tube, a jig, a Ned rig, chasing great big bass, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. All right guys, we've made it to the lake. Now, not ideal conditions for northern smallmouth fish. We've got cloud cover. It was actually drizzling a minute ago, but there's blue sky behind me. It should lift here pretty soon. It should be a partly cloudy, fairly windy afternoon. Not perfect smallmouth conditions, but perfect finesse fishing conditions. So we're gonna take our time, fish slow, fish methodically, and hopefully get some big bites. Along the way, I'll talk to you guys more about how to catch these big ones on light line, on finesse baits. I can't necessarily help you get all the bites, but I can show you what it takes to dial in your gear so when you get the right bites, your odds are maximized of getting that fish in the boat. Let's get fishing. A nice fish. Nice. That's the way to start right there. Oh, he's blind in one eye. Nice smallmouth. He ate a Ned rig. That's that salamander we've talked about in a few videos. Light line, light tackle, nice fish. Nice fish. Really nice fish. Got her. Ooh, that's a big smallmouth. Now we're talking. It just started blowing too hard out there where we were, so I tucked into this pocket. That's my third cast. Just fan casting a hair jig. That's that Megabass baby plugging rod. 5-pound fluoro. And a great big smallmouth. Thank you, girl. You can go. Amazing. So that's 5-pound fluoro. Again, we are finessing today. The storm blew off. There's a cloud line right behind me. It blew off so fast. I mean, you can see it's blue skies now and it is howling. I had started on some offshore stuff. It's blowing 20 plus miles an hour out there. Even here it's blowing 5 or 6 tucked behind the tree line. But these fish are here. So what I did with that fish is I'm fishing a super limber rod and then that really light fluoro. Now I'm straight fluoro because I'm throwing such a lightweight bait. But there's basically 2 ways you can go when you're finessing these big fish. Let me back up. when you're finessing these big fish, there's three things that come into play. You want the best drag that you can get on your reel. You want the best quality of line that you can get so that you don't have breakage. And then you want the sharpest hooks that you can get for obvious reasons. Everything is light line, light gear. You want to be able to stick those fish and keep them pinned. Now, you don't always want ultra light hooks. Sometimes you do. Like the drop shot, that's an Owner Mosquito Light. It is ultra light. But the tube, I'm throwing on a little bit stouter rod, couple pounds heavier on my fluorocarbon leader. So that I'm throwing on a heavier hook, but it's still ultra sharp. So those are the three things to factor in. Quality of reel, and more specifically the quality of the drag in the reel. But quality of reel sort of goes hand in hand with that. And then that good quality line. And with line, you can go two directions. You can go straight fluorocarbon or straight mono, and then braid to leader. Those are the directions to go. We're using both today for different things. I'll tell you what, let's keep fishing, and then I'll sit down with you somewhere calm, and we'll get more into all that towards the end. It's another great big one. Oh no! Oh! That may have been a 5-pound smallmouth. Oh. Unfortunately, that is the reality of big fish on light tackle. Sometimes they win. All we can do is put all the odds in our favor. Use a quality rod. Use a great reel with a great drag. You could hear that drag screaming, I'm sure. Use an ultra sharp hook, and then be patient and let those fish pull. That's all you can do. Sometimes they're going to come off, but we're gonna do everything we can to prevent that. Another nice fish. He went straight for my talons behind the boat. Stay out of there. That's awesome. That is another absolutely beautiful smallmouth. Man, that's fun. So the fact that we are out here in the north doing this with smallmouth is completely arbitrary. And this applies to smallmouth, this applies to largemouth and spotted bass, it would apply to trout, it would apply to saltwater. Fishing light tackle for big fish is universal. It's more fun to do it out here because I'm showing you the concepts and how they work as we go, and I get to catch a bunch of jumbo smallies. But make no mistake, you can apply this to anything. Fell right out. Drop shot. Nice fish. Now usually when we talk finesse, we're talking spinning tackle. But this is a BFS reel. It's a BFS combo. And that smallmouth ate a tube on a true, oh, that's another really good one. She ate that tube on another truly finesse setup, even though it's bait casting. Look at that. That's a big bite tour tube. Munched it. What a blast. Whether it's bait casting or spinning, finesse rules apply. All right, I could do this all day, but I probably ought to knock it off. We'll find some calm water and I'll kind of explain the details of how you can dial in your stuff, dial in your gear, whatever it is that you have for a finesse fight against a big fish. All right, I pulled up into the calmest spot that I could here. It's still blowing pretty hard. Big gusts keep coming through, but here's what it boils down to. If you want to target giant fish on light tackle, and people do that for a variety of reasons. Some people do it because it's fun. Some people do it because you're in clear water and you have to do it. There's different reasons. There's different reasons for that light tackle, but if you want to do it, it comes down to details. Sharp hooks, the best line that you can get, checking your knots constantly, and the best equipment that you can afford. Now that is the important thing, the best equipment that you can afford. If I was going to tell a new guy where to put his money, put your money into your finesse combo, because that is where you will get the most out of it. That's where it matters the most, having that perfect drag that will let that line run when it needs to, instead of getting jumpy and pulling and jerking, you break off or lose fish. Now the only exception to that would be the guy that fishes a lot of murkier water, maybe a southern guy fishing shallow water, and you just plain don't finesse. Obviously, if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But to the average guy coming into the sport, if you're gonna spend your money on one combo, it's that all-around finesse combo. Now, if you are going to spend your money on the rod or the reel, obviously perfect scenario, you have one high-end combo and you're set. Obviously that's not perfect for everybody. Not everybody can afford that. So if you have to choose chicken or the egg, right? I would say put the money in the reel. The reason why is that light line, ultra finesse, big fish, it's all going to come down to that drag. Yes, you need to feel them to get into that fight in the first place. That's the trade-off. But if I had to choose, it would be the reel. I can do a lot of things to make a rod more sensitive, right? I can use braided line to a fluorocarbon leader. I can pay attention and choose one of those mid-range rods like an X-Pride, where the bang for the buck is just phenomenal and it's plenty sensitive, and then I can pour that money into that reel. The Twin Power, I talk about this reel a lot. The Twin Power is an amazing ultra high-end reel that is not an ultra high-end price. Now, it is an expensive reel, don't get me wrong, but compared to, say, a Stella, this becomes an affordable reel. And high-end gear doesn't guarantee that you're going to land these fish. That's important. The big fish that I lost today was on an NRX Plus Stella combo. It was on this combo. The fact that that's an expensive rod and an expensive reel and perfect line and everything else doesn't guarantee I'm gonna get those fish. What it does is it guarantees that I put as many of the odds in my favor as possible. I was gonna know when I was bit. That rod is sensitive. I had the drag to play that fish. You could hear that drag singing. I had an ultra sharp hook. I had a perfect, fresh 6-pound leader tied. Everything was in my favor that I could control. But at the end of the day, you're still putting yourself up against a giant fish on light line. Sometimes you lose. This isn't about guaranteeing it. This is about putting the odds in your favor to the best of your ability. So again, the Twin Power is a phenomenal option. The Vanford, which is a mid-priced reel, the Vanford is a phenomenal option. That's what that hair jig fish came on. So you have to choose where to put that money, and it doesn't really matter what your budget is. Just get the smoothest reel that you can at your budget. Now after that, pay attention to the details. For the smallmouth guys, this video was not actually about smallmouth. Okay, it was about light tackle, light line for a very strong fish, and a smallmouth is a very strong fish. That's why I chose it. But for the smallmouth guy, down in the video description, I'll link the exact baits I was throwing. But more importantly, the baits do matter, but you really want to dial in your gear. But we recently did an in-depth video on the top baits for targeting big smallmouth. I'll link that in the description as well if you missed it, because the baits are a factor, but dialing in your gear is the biggest thing. Now for everybody else, non-smallmouth guys, forget that we caught today's fish on a hair jig and a tube and those things. Don't worry about that, because that might not apply to you if you're a southern guy. That might not apply to you if you're a trout guy or an offshore guy, obviously. But the rest does. So here's another tip for you. Let's grab this one, that BFS combo. Here's something that I do personally. Now it's easiest to do with a bait caster, but I do it with all my spinning gear too. So I'm just gonna show you. A quick tip. When I'm fishing my gear and I've got my drag set, okay? It's actually already dialed, so let me back it off. Let's say right there's where I want my drag to be when I fight that fish, okay? What I do is I go a full quarter turn tighter. Now it's tight, which is what you saw when I first threw that out there. This is something I do to help guarantee that I get a strong hook set. If you're slow about it, it can hurt you. So you need to be aware of that. If you over tighten a drag and stick a big fish and then just sit there, you're going to get broken off. But getting a powerful hook set, taking that sharp hook, whether it's light wire or not, and planting it in that fish to get that good positive hook set is critical. So I over tighten all my reels. I set that hook. The second I hit them, I don't wait to find out if it's a big fish or not. I already know where my drag setting is. So quarter turn. So let me tighten back up. Set the hook, quarter turn. I don't wait to find out if it's a big one. I don't wait to find out if she was gonna rip a bunch of drag or not. Now my reel is dialed and I'm ready to fight with that fish no matter what. But that allows me to get a really positive hook set, because drag slip, that zzz, when you set the hook, takes away from your hook set. The reason we do that a lot of times is because we're afraid to break off. But if you're aware of it ahead of time, and you can do the same thing with spinning. With spinning, it's a little bit tougher, but you get that thing dialed in, you set that hook, boom, turn that thing. Now they can run. You see what I'm saying? So you find wherever the perfect is for your reel, for your line, and then go a quarter turn tighter. That's it, quarter turn. That will help you plant a hook set a lot better. Now again, if you're slow about it, if you wait to find out if it's a big fish, if you wait to find out if you're gonna have a problem, and they surge, they'll break you off. So I do it instantly, but that's just something I personally do to help me guarantee, even on light line, that I've got a good set. Now, something else that you can do. I'm fishing braid to leader on almost all my Finesse gear. The only times that I don't do that are things that are ultralight and I'm trying to get distance, and that connection knot makes that a little more complicated. So like that hair jig is on straight 5-pound fluoro. But all these others, that's 10 to 12 pound braid, depending on the reel, and then a 5 to 7 pound leader. And again, get the best line that you can. Don't skimp on your leader material. If you're fishing smallmouth, 5 to 7 pound, I'm fishing all Sunline Sniper fluorocarbon. It's a very hard line. It's a very strong line. It's very resistant to abrasion. They're not gonna nick it in their teeth, but pay attention. If I'm in a murkier water fishery, I'll actually switch over to a mono in my lighter lines for my leader, not for a main line. Braid to a mono leader, because there's so much stretch and so much give and so much shock absorption that I smoke them. I stick them with that braid, but then that mono will stretch and be forgiving during the fight to help me get those fish. And then when I get into the heavier lines, then I switch over to fluorocarbon shock leader, like that FC100 that we're always talking about, where it'll just stretch and come back, and it's not hurting the line to do that. It's made to give. That's incredible for battling big fish. But again, that's a little bit heavier line. That only comes down to like 16 pound, I think. So crystal clear water, I throw a lot of sniper, sometimes mainline, but usually braid to leader with a connection knot. You can do it, guys. Whether it's smallmouth, largemouth, whether it's some completely other species, you can take really light line. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to love to salmon fish. You guys don't know this about me. I got a 39 and a 40 pound king salmon on straight 6-pound line when I was a kid, because I knew back then that I could get more bites than everybody else if I threw 6-pound line. But then you had to battle them. So my entire life, I've battled on light line. Day in and day out, largemouth fishing, you guys see me power fish, throw a lot of heavy braid, throw a lot of heavy gear. But when it's time to slow down, when it's time to finesse, do it right. And the results will speak for themselves. You will land that giant fish when the opportunity presents itself. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, down in the video description, I will link you some of this high-end gear that I fish with. I'll link you some of the bang for the buck stuff that will really help you if you're looking for that single combo, the BFS, and then of course I'll link you the baits and the gear that I was throwing today as well. Hopefully this helps you. I think it will. Hopefully the next time you set up on a giant fish and you are undergunned, you'll be prepared for the battle and you'll get that fish in the boat. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.